It was a quiet night at the Deep Space Listening Station in New Mexico when the first signal arrived. Tom Baker, the night shift operator, almost missed it among the usual background noise of the universe. But there was something different about this one, a pattern that didn't match any known natural phenomenon. "Hey Mike, come take a look at this," Tom called to his colleague, who was making coffee in the break room. "I'm getting something weird on Channel 7. Mike walked over, coffee mug in hand, and leaned in to look at the screen. The signal pulsed in regular intervals, clearly artificial in nature. But it wasn't using any known human communication protocols. Within hours, similar reports came in from listening stations across the globe. The signal was growing stronger, and computers worldwide began working to decode its contents. What they found shocked everyone. It was a distress call, but not from any Earth vessel. The message, once decoded, revealed something that would change humanity's place in the universe forever. To any spacefaring civilization who can hear us, the message began, "We are the bright ones. Our refugee fleet is trapped in a quantum gravity, well near the star you call HG 40,307. We carry millions of our people, including children. Our advanced systems cannot free us. We need help." The United Nations called an emergency session. Scientists, politicians, and military leaders from around the world gathered to discuss this unprecedented situation. Screens showed the location of the distress signal, a star system just 42 light-years from Earth. "The physics data they've sent us is incredible," said Dr. Robert Wilson, Earth's leading expert in quantum mechanics. He stood before the UN Assembly, pointing to complex equations on the screen behind him. "Their fleet is caught in what we can only describe as a tear in spacetime. Their technology is far more advanced than ours, but somehow that's part of the problem." Satellite images from Earth's most powerful telescopes confirmed the alien story. A massive fleet of ships, each one larger than the biggest Earth cruiser, hung motionless in space. The strange distortion around them was visible even from this distance, bending light in ways that defied normal physics. "Their ships use quantum drive systems," Dr. Wilson continued. "But the gravity well is interfering with their quantum computers. The more advanced the technology, the worse the interference. It's like trying to run modern software on a computer that's being hit by an electromagnetic pulse." In the back of the room, Tom Baker, the operator who first noticed the signal, raised his hand. "So what you're saying is, their ships are too advanced to escape?" "Exactly," Dr. Wilson nodded. "Their technology is working against them. They need something simpler." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity, with its relatively primitive space technology, might be in a unique position to help. What the aliens saw as outdated might be exactly what was needed. The president of the World Space Coalition stood up. "We need to put together a rescue mission. Not because we have the best technology, but because we might have the right technology." Teams were assembled within days. Earth's best minds worked around the clock, studying the data sent by the bright ones. The aliens' messages became more frequent, sharing details about their situation. They had been trapped for what Earth would consider 3 months, their mighty engines useless against the quantum anomaly. As the first human rescue ships were being prepared, a final message came from the alien fleet. It was shorter than the others, and carried a tone of both hope and desperation. "We have watched your species from afar for many years. We always considered your technology primitive, your methods outdated. We were wrong. You may be our only hope. Please hurry." As the message played in mission control, the rescue fleet's crews finished their preparations. Humanity was about to prove that sometimes the old ways were the best ways. The greatest rescue mission in human history was about to begin, and no one knew exactly how it would end. The stage was set. Humanity's moment to prove itself among the stars had arrived. 5 massive rescue ships broke through Earth's atmosphere, carrying humanity's best hope for saving the alien fleet. On the lead ship, Captain James Walker watched the blue planet shrink behind them. His vessel, the Horizon, carried an unusual mix of experts: deep-sea rescue specialists, mining engineers, and old-school mechanics alongside space scientists. "Never thought I'd use my oil rig experience in space," said Bill Thompson, a veteran drilling expert. He was studying the latest data from the alien fleet on a tablet. Unlike the other high-tech equipment around him, his tablet was wrapped in a thick rubber case, covered in coffee stains and scratches from years of field work. The rescue fleet's journey would take 2 weeks. During this time, they received more information about the Bright Ones. The aliens had built their entire civilization around quantum computers and artificial intelligence. Every decision, from navigation to making breakfast, relied on advanced AI systems. "That's their problem right there," said Dr. Anna Miller, looking at the alien ship designs. "They'd got no backup systems, nothing mechanical. When their quantum computers started failing, they had no way to adapt." The human rescue team spent their travel time practicing with old equipment they'd brought along. While other species might have laughed at their tools, manual winches, mechanical pulleys, and basic radio systems, these simple devices were immune to the quantum interference that had trapped the alien ships. "It's like bringing a rowboat to save a cruise ship," joked one of the crew members. But sometimes, the simple things work best. 2 days before reaching the alien fleet, the rescue team got their first real look at the Bright Ones through video communication. The aliens were tall, graceful beings with iridescent skin that seemed to glow from within. Their captain appeared on the main screen, looking both hopeful and confused at the human vessels approaching them. "We detect no quantum drives in your ships," the alien captain said. "How do you plan to assist us with such basic technology?" Captain Walker stepped forward. "Sometimes the old ways are the best ways. Your quantum systems are being disrupted, but our mechanical tools won't be affected. We've brought equipment that's been helping us solve problems on Earth for hundreds of years." The alien captain's glow dimmed slightly. "You intend to use physical tools? Manual labor? We haven't done such things in generations." "That's exactly why we're here," Walker replied. "Your advanced technology is wonderful, but right now it's part of the problem. We're going to show you how humans did things before computers." The alien crew watched in confusion as the humans explained their rescue plan. They would use modified deep-sea rescue techniques, treating the quantum gravity well like an ocean current. Mechanical winches would provide the pulling power, while simple radio systems would keep them coordinated. "It seems primitive," said the alien captain. "Primitive got us to the moon," Dr. Miller responded. "Primitive built the pyramids. Primitive works." As the rescue fleet approached the edge of the gravity well, their instruments began to fail. The quantum computers they did have sparked and shut down, but the old mechanical systems kept working perfectly. Analog gauges continued their steady measurements, and hand-cranked backup systems hummed to life. The aliens watched in amazement as the human ships maintained perfect formation without their advanced guidance systems. Captain Walker used paper maps and a compass, tools that hadn't been needed in space for decades. But here, at the edge of a quantum anomaly, they were exactly what was needed. "We're ready to begin rescue operations," Walker announced to both his crew and the alien fleet. "We'll show you how humanity solved problems before we had AI to think for us." The Bright One's captain's glow brightened slightly, the first sign of real hope they'd shown. "Perhaps," they said slowly, "we have much to learn from Earth after all." The rescue operation was about to begin, and humanity was about to prove that sometimes the best solution isn't the most advanced one. It's the one that simply works. The first meeting between humans and the Bright Ones happened in the strangest of places, a maintenance airlock on the edge of the quantum gravity well. While the aliens had suggested using their advanced teleporters, the humans insisted on physical docking. It was a sign of things to come. "Mechanical seals," Captain Walker explained, turning a large wheel to secure the connection between ships. "No computers to fail, no power needed. Just good old-fashioned pressure locks." The airlock door opened with a hiss, revealing 3 Bright Ones waiting on the other side. They stood nearly 7 feet tall, their skin shimmering with waves of soft blue light. But despite their impressive appearance, there was clear worry in their large, silvery eyes. "Welcome aboard the Star Seeker," said the alien captain, who introduced himself as the First Light. "Though I must admit, we are uncomfortable with your methods." Dr. Miller stepped forward, carrying an old-style toolkit that made the aliens step back in surprise. "Sometimes uncomfortable is exactly what we need to be," she said with a smile. "Now, can you show us your engine room?" The walk through the alien ship was like stepping into a dream. Everything was smooth, elegant, and automated. But half the doors wouldn't open properly, stuck between commands from failing quantum computers. The humans watched as their alien hosts struggled with their own technology. "We have to manually override each door," First Light explained, embarrassment clear in his dimming glow. "It's primitive." "Primitive works," Bill Thompson replied, already examining the ship's structure with his experienced eyes. "In fact, primitive might save your people." The engine room was a marvel of technology, filled with quantum cores and AI processors. But to the rescue team, it was also the source of the problem. Every system was connected to every other system, all of them dependent on quantum computing that no longer worked properly. Walker pulled out a simple paper notebook, something that made the aliens stare in disbelief. "Let me get this straight," he said, writing with an actual pencil. "You have no mechanical backup systems at all." "Why would we need them?" asked one of the alien engineers, their glow pulsing with confusion. "Our quantum systems were perfect." Bill Thompson laughed, pulling out his battered tablet with its rubber case. "Perfect until they weren't. On Earth, we learned the hard way to always have a backup plan, usually a simple one." The human team spread out through the engine room, using basic tools to take measurements and draw diagrams. The aliens watched in a mixture of horror and fascination as the humans used hand tools to open panels and examine systems. "You're touching the quantum drive housing," one alien engineer exclaimed, "without proper AI guidance." "Sometimes you need to feel a problem to fix it," Dr. Miller replied, her hands running along the smooth alien metal. "Your sensors are great, but they can't tell you everything. Human instinct and experience count for a lot." The examination took hours. The humans worked methodically, using simple tools and taking careful notes. They found what they had suspected. The alien ships were technological marvels, but completely dependent on systems that couldn't function in the quantum gravity well. As they finished their inspection, Captain Walker gathered everyone together. "We can help you," he said, "but you'll need to trust us. And you'll need to do things our way." First Light's glow flickered uncertainly. "Your way seems dangerous, imprecise. Our simulations show." "Your simulations are part of what's trapped you here," Walker interrupted gently. "Sometimes you need to step away from the data and trust human experience." The alien captain was quiet for a long moment, looking at the strange human tools, the paper notebooks, the mechanical devices that seemed so crude compared to their own technology. Finally, their glow brightened slightly. "Very well," First Light said. "Show us your way." The humans shared knowing looks. Now the real work could begin. It was time to show the galaxy that humanity's primitive methods still had their place among the stars. The main meeting room of the Star Seeker was packed with both humans and bright ones. Dr. Miller stood at the front, using an old whiteboard and markers to draw her plan, something that made the aliens murmur in disbelief at its simplicity. "The quantum gravity well is like a whirlpool in space," she explained, drawing spiral patterns. "Your ships are caught because your quantum drives can't function in this environment. So we're going to treat this like an underwater rescue mission." Bill Thompson stepped forward, holding up a mechanical winch that made the aliens' glow flicker with doubt. "On Earth, when we need to pull oil rigs out of dangerous waters, we use these. Simple machines, no computers, just pure mechanical force." "But the gravitational forces are immense," protested one of the alien scientists, their skin pulsing with worried light patterns. Our calculations show. Forget the calculations for a moment, Captain Walker interrupted. We've brought 30 heavy-duty space winches. Each one can pull with the force of a small moon. No computers, no quantum mechanics, just gears, cables, and good old-fashioned physics. Dr. Miller drew more diagrams, showing how they would position the human rescue ships around the edge of the gravity well. We'll create what we call a gravity ladder, she explained. Each point will be a step out of the well. The aliens watched as she explained the plan. The human ships would form a circle around the trapped fleet. Using mechanical winches and reinforced cables, they would create a network of anchor points. Each point would have manual backup systems, no quantum technology that could be disrupted. It's like building a ladder out of a hole, Bill said, pointing to the diagram. Each cable gives the ships something to hold onto as they climb out. First Light, the alien captain, stepped closer to examine the drawings. This plan seems impossible. The forces involved were all calculated by hand. Dr. Miller interrupted, holding up a notebook filled with equations. Sometimes the old ways are the most reliable. The human team continued explaining their plan. They would start with the smallest ships first, using the mechanical winches to slowly pull them out of the gravity well. Each successful rescue would make the next one easier, as the freed ships could help pull out the others. But what about the quantum drives? Asked an alien engineer. They're completely non-functional in the well. We don't need them, Captain Walker said confidently. We'll use modified rocket boosters, simple chemical propulsion. Sometimes going back to basics is the best solution. The room erupted in alien chatter, their skin glowing with various colors of concern and disbelief. The idea of using such basic technology seemed to frighten them more than their current situation. Listen, Bill said, his voice cutting through the chaos. I've spent 30 years pulling things out of places they shouldn't be stuck. Oil rigs from stormy seas, cargo ships from reefs, mining equipment from cave-ins. This isn't so different. It's just in space. Dr. Miller added more details to her diagram. We'll need your help, she said to the aliens. Your people will need to learn to operate mechanical systems. No computers, no AI assistance, just hands-on work. The aliens' glow dimmed collectively at this suggestion. They hadn't done physical labor in generations. Their society had evolved beyond it, or so they had thought. First Light looked at the simple drawings, then at the mechanical tools the humans had brought. Finally, their glow brightened with determination. If this is what it takes to save our people, they said, then we will learn your primitive ways. Captain Walker smiled. Good, because the crazy part of the plan comes next. The humans and aliens gathered closer as he explained the details of what would be either the greatest rescue operation in history or the most spectacular failure the galaxy had ever seen. But one thing was certain. Humanity was about to show the universe that sometimes the simplest solutions were the best ones. The first test of the human plan began with the smallest ship in the alien fleet. The rescue team had spent 3 days setting up their mechanical winch system, creating a web of steel cables around the edge of the quantum gravity well. To the bright ones, the setup looked primitive and fragile. To the humans, it was a masterpiece of practical engineering. All winches, report ready status. Captain Walker's voice crackled over the radio. Another primitive technology that worked perfectly in the quantum disruption field. Winch 1, ready, came Bill Thompson's voice. Winch 2, ready. Winch 3, ready. One by one, all 30 winch stations reported in. Each one was operated by a team of 2 humans and 2 bright ones. The aliens had spent the last few days learning how to operate the manual equipment, their glowing hands becoming dirty with mechanical grease for the first time in generations. Target ship, are you ready? Walker asked. First Light responded from the small alien vessel they had chosen for the first attempt. We are ready, though our ship's systems are completely offline now. That's exactly what we want, Dr. Miller replied from her control station. No quantum interference, just pure mechanical force. The operation began slowly. Each winch team started turning their massive gears, taking up the slack in the cables. The alien ship, a research vessel about the size of an Earth cargo ship, hung suspended in the strange light of the quantum gravity well. First pull in 3, 2, 1. Begin, Walker commanded. 30 winches began turning in perfect coordination. The cables went tight as drums. Warning gauges on the winches climbed into the red zone, but the tough Earth-made machines held steady. "It's working," Bill shouted over the radio. "The ship is moving." Through the observation windows, everyone could see the alien vessel slowly, painfully begin to rise from the gravity well. The cables creaked and groaned, but the mechanical systems held firm. Where advanced quantum technology had failed, simple machines were succeeding. The bright ones working the winches began to glow brighter with excitement. They had learned quickly, their natural intelligence adapting to the physical work. Their hands moved surely on the controls now, coordinating with their human partners. 20 meters up, Dr. Miller called out. "Keep it steady." Suddenly, one of the cables began to spark. The quantum effects were stronger than expected at this point in the well. A warning alarm blared. "Cable 7 is failing," someone shouted. "Compensate," Walker ordered. "Teams 6 and 8, take up the slack." The humans and aliens worked together seamlessly now, adjusting their winches to redistribute the load. The failing cable was quickly replaced with a backup, and the rescue continued without stopping. "This is remarkable," First Light's voice came over the radio. "Our sensors would have taken 10 minutes to calculate that adjustment. You did it in seconds." "Sometimes human instinct beats computer logic," Walker replied, "especially when things go wrong." Hour by hour, the small ship was pulled free of the gravity well's influence. The winch teams worked in shifts, their hands steady on the controls, their movements coordinated by nothing more complex than hand signals and radio calls. Finally, after 6 tense hours, the ship broke free. A cheer went up from both humans and aliens as the vessel's quantum systems came back online, its own lights glowing bright in the darkness of space. "First rescue successful," Walker announced, his voice tired but proud. "One down, many more to go." The bright ones gathered in their observation rooms, their skin glowing with new patterns never seen before. Patterns that showed respect, admiration, and hope. They had just witnessed something that their advanced civilization had thought impossible, a rescue carried out with nothing but mechanical devices and human determination. First Light's voice came over the radio one last time. "We understand now," they said softly. "Your strength is not in your technology, but in your ability to work without it. Perhaps we have forgotten something important in our rush to advance." The humans shared knowing looks. This was just the beginning. They had proven their method worked. But the real challenge lay ahead, rescuing the larger ships. But for now, they had shown the galaxy that humanity's primitive ways still had their place among the stars. After the success with the small research vessel, the real work began. The human rescue team faced their biggest challenge yet, saving the massive civilian ships that carried thousands of bright ones each. These ships were the size of small cities, dwarfing even the largest human vessels. "We'll need every winch, every cable, and every hand we've got," Captain Walker told the assembled rescue teams. The meeting room was now filled with hundreds of bright ones who had volunteered to help, their skin glowing with determination. The aliens had changed in the past week. Their once pristine hands were now marked with calluses from working the winches. They had learned to trust their instincts over computers, to feel the tension in cables, to understand the sound of straining metal. "The big ships will fight us harder," Bill Thompson explained, his hands covered in grease from maintaining the winches. "But we've doubled the cable strength and added backup systems. We're ready." Dr. Miller pointed to a large diagram on the wall. "We'll start with the hospital ship. It's carrying the most vulnerable passengers and has the strongest hull structure." The operation began at what the humans called Space Dawn, when the distant star's light first touched their ships. 50 winch stations were now set up, each operated by mixed teams of humans and bright ones working together. "Begin primary cable attachment," Walker commanded over the radio. The aliens had abandoned their quantum communications in favor of simple radio waves, which cut through the interference perfectly. The hospital ship hung in the quantum gravity well like a massive silver whale. Teams of engineers in spacesuits, both human and alien, worked to attach the thick cables to specially designed connection points. "All cables secure," came the report. "Ready to begin pull sequence." The first pull was met with groaning metal and straining cables. Warning lights flashed across all the winch stations, but the machines held firm. The hospital ship moved just a few meters, but it was enough to prove the concept would work. "Look at that," an alien engineer exclaimed, their glow pulsing with excitement. "The mechanical advantage is working exactly as your drawing showed." Hour after hour, the teams worked in perfect coordination. When a cable showed signs of stress, they would swap in a replacement before it could fail. When a winch began to overheat, they would switch to a backup. Everything was done with mechanical precision, but guided by human and alien hands working together. "Hull stress at 60%, reported first light from the monitoring station, within acceptable limits." "Keep pulling," Walker ordered. "Slow and steady." The hospital ship rose meter by meter. The quantum interference grew stronger as the ship neared the edge of the gravity well, but the mechanical systems remained unaffected. Where advanced technology failed, simple machines prevailed. Then came the critical moment. The ship reached the point where the first rescue attempt had faced cable failure. Everyone held their breath. "All stations, prepare for maximum strain," Walker called out. "This is what we trained for." The cables sang with tension. Warning alarms blared, but the reinforced system held. The massive hospital ship crawled past the danger point, its hull gleaming in the starlight. "It's working," Dr. Miller shouted. "The modifications are holding." The final pull took 3 more hours. When the hospital ship finally broke free of the gravity well, the cheers from both species could be heard through the hull of every ship. The vessel's quantum systems came back online, its lights flickering to life like a awakening giant. "One big ship down," Walker announced with a tired smile. 5 more to go." The bright ones gathered around their human teachers, their skin glowing with new patterns of joy and respect. They had learned more than just how to operate winches. They had learned the value of hands-on work, of trusting instincts, of solving problems without relying on advanced technology. "We begin the next ship at next dawn," First Light announced. "And this time, we know exactly what to do." The humans nodded in satisfaction. The impossible was becoming possible, one ship at a time. Humanity's greatest space rescue was well underway, proving that sometimes the simplest solutions were the most powerful. 3 weeks after the rescue operation began, Captain Walker stood at the observation window of the horizon, watching the last alien ship break free from the quantum gravity well. Behind him, both humans and bright ones cheered as the massive vessel's lights came back to life. "Final ship is clear," Bill Thompson's tired voice came over the radio. "All winches report green status. We did it, people. We actually did it." The rescue mission that many had called impossible was complete. 6 massive ships and 20 smaller vessels, carrying over 2 million bright ones, had been saved by human ingenuity and simple machines. Dr. Miller walked up beside Walker, holding a thick notebook filled with handwritten calculations and diagrams. "You know what's funny?" she said. "They're already calling this the Great Gravity Well Rescue in their historical records." "Historical records?" Walker asked, raising an eyebrow. "The bright ones have already started documenting everything," she explained. "Not just the rescue, but all the primitive techniques we taught them. They're fascinated by how much can be done without advanced technology." In the main hall of the Star Seeker, First Light called together both human and alien crews for a final meeting. The room glowed with the combined light of hundreds of bright ones, their skin patterns showing emotions that had no human equivalent. We have learned more from Earth in these few weeks than we have learned from any other civilization in our history, First Light announced, their voice carrying through the hall. We thought we had moved beyond physical tools, beyond manual labor, beyond the need to trust our instincts. We were wrong. The alien captain gestured to the mechanical winches that lined the walls. These simple machines did what our most advanced quantum computers could not. But more importantly, you taught us something we have forgotten. The value of working with our hands, of solving problems without relying on artificial intelligence. Teams of humans and bright ones stood together, their hands equally marked with calluses and grease stains from weeks of operating the winches. The aliens no longer flinched at the sight of manual tools or physical labor. Instead, they held their mechanical instruments with pride. The Council of Bright Ones has made a decision. First Light continued. We are establishing a new academy on our homeworld. It will be called the Earth School of Practical Engineering. We want your people to teach us your ways. Captain Walker stepped forward, surprised. Your people want to learn our old techniques. Old does not mean obsolete, First Light replied, their glow brightening. We now understand that true wisdom lies in knowing when to use advanced technology and when to trust simpler solutions. This is what Earth has taught us. The announcement was met with cheers from both species. Plans were already being made for exchange programs, with human engineers traveling to alien worlds and bright ones coming to Earth to study primitive technology. As the celebration continued, Dr. Miller noticed something interesting. The bright ones had started carrying small notebooks and mechanical pencils, just like the humans. They had learned that sometimes writing things down by hand led to better understanding than letting a computer do all the work. You know what this means, Bill said, cleaning his favorite wrench. Humanity just earned its place among the stars not by being the most advanced, but by remembering our roots. The rescue fleet began their preparations for the journey home. But things would never be the same. The galaxy had learned that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in competing with advanced alien technology. It was in remembering that sometimes the old ways were the best ways. Back on the horizon, Captain Walker made one final log entry in his paper logbook. Mission complete. All ships rescued. But we gained something more valuable than success. We gained respect, not for our advanced technology or our military might, but for our practical wisdom. The galaxy now knows that humanity's place among the stars isn't about how far we've come. It's about remembering where we came from and the simple truths that got us here. As Earth's rescue fleet turned toward home, they left behind more than just saved lives. They left a legacy that would change the galaxy's view of humanity forever. Sometimes, the greatest advances come not from moving forward, but from remembering the lessons of the past.